Okay, I'm going to at first say this. You're going to have to forgive this awful camera work. Okay, it's required because I need to be close to this microphone, and you'll see why. And the first thing I want to tell you is a story. It's a long story. No, not really. It's it's a story from my life that explains why I did something recently. Okay, so years ago, I used to travel quite a bit with a job that I had. I traveled all around, and one of the things I would do on one of my days when I was traveling is I would go to a music store and spend some time playing the instruments. Okay, as you know, if you don't know, I lead worship. I'm an acoustic guitar player, so I would go to a music shop and some local shop, and then I would just play through their instruments. Well, one time I had a friend with me, and we went to a shop in Indianapolis. Okay, it was a I don't know, medium-sized music store, not a big box. It was a locally owned one. And I told this friend, who was also a guitar player, I said, hey, let's do this. Let's compare every guitar that they have and figure out which one is the best sounding. Okay, we could look at best playing too, but let's see which one is the best sounding. And this shop, not being a big box, they didn't have any real expensive guitars. And, this is subjective, of course, but the most expensive guitar they had there was like $900. So in the world of acoustic instruments, that's not real expensive, okay? So anyways, we played through all of them, compared, we picked up a handful. We rearranged all of the guitars in that shop. They let us basically just sit in there for like an hour playing these guitars. We rearranged them all based on what we liked and what we didn't like, and we got it down to about 10 guitars, and then we played them side by side, back and forth, until we narrowed it down to one guitar. And the guitar that we basically said, this is the best sounding guitar that they have here, was made by a company I had never even heard of before. And as a matter of fact, I don't even remember the name right now. So it was surprising. It was a parlor sized, a smaller guitar. It had one unique feature to it. That was the top was made out of cedar. Okay, and the tone of the guitar was a little sweeter than what I was used to. Most acoustic guitars have Sitka tops. Some have mahogany, and there's maple. There's a few other variations, but most of them are Sitka spruce or some type of spruce, and it's real punchy. It's intentional, right? It's intentionally punchy because that instrument has to compete with all of the other instruments. It has to have a strong voice, okay? So anyways, from that day, I started to really think about this and think someday I should track down a guitar with a cedar top and get one, okay? There's not a lot of them out there. It's not that they're rare, it's just that they're less desired by guitar players, okay? It's a lesser thing. There's people that like them, but for the most part, it's kind of like a secondary option. It's not something most people are after. So anyways, trying to not make this a super long story, eventually I come across this brand of guitars that's made in Canada. And I like some of the things about these guitars. They're made out of a lot of the local woods instead of, pulling woods from across the world or whatever. They're just what's growing there. That's what they're using. Also, their sensibility is very practical and utilitarian. They don't dress them up a whole lot. And so I thought, sometime I want to get my hands on one of those. And I did that a couple times, got my hands on one, and I didn't like it. I just didn't. Okay, if you haven't guessed yet, the guitar company I'm talking about is a brand named Seagull. Okay, I don't even like the name, tell you the truth. It sounds so strange, right? Um, it would be better to me, like you could name it anything other than Seagull, it'd probably be better. You could name it Bubblegum, and that would probably be a better guitar name company than Seagull, but whatever. It goes with their vibe, I guess. I don't know. Um, but I did appreciate the workmanship and the price point and all of that. But I didn't like some things about the guitar. I didn't like the way it played, and I didn't like the way it sounded. Okay? It's not what I was after. So I played a couple on a few different occasions, and on all of those occasions, I didn't like them. Okay? Until recently, when I went to Texas. And in Texas, I picked up one of these guitars. There were a few there. I picked up one of these. It's a new guitar, and it had a cedar top. And I played it, and I said, man, this is what I'm looking for. This is the tone. It's less punchy, okay? And normally I would say that's not what I want, but in this case, there was a sweetness to the tone that I really appreciated. So, anyways, I looked at the guitar. It was all right. The neck I didn't like. The way it played I didn't like. And I'm like, there's no way I'm spending this kind of money. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't cheap either, okay? For an acoustic instrument, it wasn't super expensive. I just didn't like it. It didn't play well, didn't feel right. And so I passed. I couldn't get it out of my mind, though. I was like, you know what? This is what I'll do. I'll buy a used one. One that's been broken in. One that has already been through it a little bit. And one of the things about Seagull is those guitars are built like tanks, okay? They're really, really rugged. They're well built. And so I'll get one, and then I'll just make it play the way that I need it to play. I'll do the work, even if that means like some radical work, like changing the shape of the neck. And if you're an acoustic player, you'll understand that is drastic, right? Because if you make a mistake, there's no going back. Put the thing in the firewood pile. It's done. So anyways, I said, you know what? I'll do the work to make it what I want it to be. And I found one online. I offered the person not a lot of money, very inexpensive, okay? Like the same amount of money if 8 people went out to dinner at a restaurant, okay? That kind of money. Okay, I offered it, they accepted, and they shipped it to me. And I was thinking, you know what, this thing's already beat up. It's already done. And it'll be an interesting thing. And when I got it, I was shocked. It was beat up, but it played great. It sounded great. And so I wanted to tell you that story, how I got from point A to point B. This is about 8 years in the making. And I ended up picking up this guitar and really loving it. And you know what? The thing I love about this is I personally am drawn to a guitar that does not have a lot of cosmetic things. One that's already been, it's in the middle of its life. It's something that people are not going to idolize or be like, oh, that's so awesome. And, you know, I like that. I don't mind modifying an instrument. I don't mind having something that's used. Now look at this thing. I've got it right here. I don't know if I've even disclosed it, but look at this thing. Okay? Look at those marks, right? I mean, I don't know what happened here. It looks like somebody might have tried to hang something on this, like a picture. I'm just kidding. I don't really know. There's all kinds of marks here on this thing. If I could get the reflection, look at all of the flaws in that finish. Okay? Normally, If this was a brand new instrument, I would be like, what went wrong? But since this is a used instrument, you know what I'm saying? What went right? This is awesome. I love all of that damage, honestly. You might call me crazy, but that's fine because that's my guitar, right? I bought it. There was so much damage around this rim, so many dings. Like, I don't know if the camera will pick up. I mean, this is crazy. I sanded this down. This was a hard corner and it was full of dings. I rounded it off and then I just put a little dark stain on it so that it didn't stand out so bad, and then put some Danish oil on it to kind of bring it out or to protect it from moisture or whatever. And I'll probably do more. I mean, look, there's like paint on this. I dig it, right? I dig it. I dig all of that. The pick guard's starting to come up, right? The headstock, right? This is a Seagull headstock. To me, it's ugly. But you know what? It's a guitar. It's doing its purpose. And actually, it's a great design. It just doesn't look good. But listen to this. Here, hold on. Let me adjust this. I don't know how that's going to carry over, but this is part of the reason I've got this camera so close to me, is so that I can get the guitar close enough to the mic to where it will hear well the sound of the mic. And I'm hoping you can just hear like just the mature kind of sweet tone of this guitar. I'm going to be honest with you. I did not even change the strings on this when I got it. These are whatever strings that they threw on it. I have no idea. So they're probably junk. They're probably old. They're not real dirty, but... So, anyways, that's where we're at. There's a part of me that loves this, and the part of me that also loves getting the used equipment and the older gear, and even putting work into it to bringing it back. Right? Sometimes it's not possible. Okay, but I think I'm compelled to do this because I think about how the Lord basically takes us from where we're at, okay? As a Christian, you know, where we are right now is not where we are going to be in 10 years or 5 years or 3 years or even hopefully tomorrow. And what I mean by that is the Lord has a plan every day for restoration, spiritual restoration, restoration to bring us, out of whatever trap we're in, whatever difficulty we're facing, whatever hard time that we're going through. The Lord even plans to use those things and loves to use those things, right? He loves to teach us lessons through difficult times. He loves to use the storms in our life to show us who He is, right? And just like, I think, I might be intentionally overly spiritualizing this, but not really. Just like I love the idea of having a guitar with some big time battle scars, deep, deep gouges. I don't know if you can see that one, right? Deep, like that's a pretty significant gouge. There's a part of me that says, wow, do I need to fix that? Yeah, maybe. Even the way that I fix these things, it would forever be seen, even though it would be fixed. And I like that. It actually tells me something. It tells me that this guitar, even though it's got all of this collateral damage, it's been loved and it's been used, right? Used in a good way. Used by a person that had an intention, that knew what they were doing, that made music with it. That I can see pick marks. This whole area is covered in pick marks. That's how it should be. It's a guitar. If you think that the thing's not going to be strummed, why buy a guitar? Anyways, I wanted to share this with you. I thought, it's a little different. I just thought it would be a cool thing to kind of bring you guys through this whole process. I know this is a longer video. You're probably a bunch of you guys have like gave up at 2 minutes in. That's fine. But I'm glad that we get a chance to actually, invest in things that are not just out of a factory, perfect things. We get to grab these things that have been around, that have been used, and that they've been, there's evidence that they've blessed people, right? That evidence is, some of it is from these like scars that this thing's wearing, but even still, it blesses me. I'm at this point. So I hope that blesses you. I hope it gives you something to think about. It blessed you to kind of go through the story with me. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching my videos. May the Lord richly bless you, give you strength and courage as you live for Him. And I ask in Jesus' name, amen. God bless you guys.